All right, let's talk about one of the biggest legal battles of our time. This is a massive showdown between the tech titan Google and regulators all over the world who are saying, hey, wait a minute, you're not just winning, you're crushing the competition. And this isn't just about some big fine, it's really about the future of the internet itself.
I mean, think about it. You get a new phone, you open a browser for the first time, and boom, Google is just there, ready to go. Have you ever stopped to ask why? Is it just because it's the best product out there, or is there maybe something else happening behind the curtain?
Well, that something else involves an absolutely staggering amount of cash. We're talking about a reported $20 billion. That's what Google pays companies like Apple every single year just to make sure its search engine is the default. And that payment right there, that's the heart of the government's argument that Google isn't just winning, it's buying a monopoly.
So, to really get why that $20 billion deal is so controversial, we need to quickly go over the rules of the game here. And that means we have to talk about something called antitrust law.
Okay, so what is antitrust? At its core, it's actually pretty simple. It's a set of laws designed to protect fair competition. The funny thing is, it's not actually illegal to be a monopoly. Where you get into trouble is when you use your monopoly power to block new ideas, shut down competitors, and ultimately harm consumers. And that's exactly the line that regulators are saying Google has crossed. And this really brings us to the core of the whole debate. On one side, you've got Google. Their argument for years has been really straightforward. Look, people use us because we're the best. We have a superior product. But on the other side, you have the regulators, and they're saying, no, your dominance isn't just about being good. It's maintained by these huge exclusionary deals that effectively lock the door on any real competition.
Now, here in the United States, this whole argument has exploded into a couple of massive federal lawsuits. The Department of Justice basically opened up a two-front legal war against Google. So let's break down this two-pronged attack. The first case, filed back in 2020, is all about search. This is the one that zooms in on those huge default payment deals, arguing they illegally shut out competitors. Then there's the second case, from 2023, which targets Google's ad tech business. That incredibly complex system that places pretty much every single ad you see online. The government alleges that Google has monopolized the entire marketplace for both the people buying the ads and the website selling them. So after all the arguments and all the testimony, what happened? Well, the verdicts are in. And in both cases, federal courts found Google liable. A judge ruled that Google illegally held onto its search monopoly through those exclusive deals. And in a separate trial, a court found it had also built an illegal monopoly in the ad tech market. So two huge cases, two huge losses for Google. But this story is much bigger than just the United States. The pressure on Google is absolutely a global thing. And you could even argue that regulators in Europe have been leading this charge for years. And let me tell you, the EU is not messing around. They have hit Google with some absolutely mind-boggling fines. We're talking about a 4.3 billion euro fine for using its Android operating system to push out competitors, and another massive fine for abusing its power in ad technology. The numbers are just staggering. And the heat just keeps getting turned up. The EU is now investigating Google under its brand new Digital Markets Act, which is basically a new rulebook for giant tech companies for favoring its own services. And as if that weren't enough, there's a whole new investigation into whether Google is using content from publishers to train its AI models without paying them fairly. It's just one front after another. Okay, so we've got guilty verdicts in the US and these enormous fines piling up in Europe. What happens now? This is really where the story moves from the courtroom into our daily lives, and the consequences could totally reshape how we all use the internet. Back in the US search case, the court didn't go so far as to break up the company, but it did order some really big changes to try and open the market up. First, it's banning those exclusive default deals we've been talking about. Second, it's forcing Google to share some of its key search data with its rivals. And third, it's requiring Google to open up its infrastructure to competitors. It is really hard to overstate just how important these cases are. We're hearing legal experts and even the Department of Justice itself call these the most significant antitrust actions in a generation. They're sending a huge signal about how governments are ready to challenge the power of big tech, which could have ripple effects for everyone from Meta and Amazon to Apple. And that leaves us with the big question, right? For what feels like forever, Google's dominance has just seemed like a fact of life. But now, With the courts rewriting the rules of the road, you have to wonder, can these changes actually level the playing field? Could we be looking at a new era of competition online? Honestly, only time is going to tell.